Welcome to this edition of Beep. Behind each and every product covering the latest products and features in our platform at Click and Pledge. So today we're doing a really critical deep dive into the state of modern fundraising. I mean, everyone's talking about AI, right?
Right.
The cost of prediction is, well, it's basically approaching zero. Feels like everyone has access to this advanced intelligence now.
It's a great way to frame it.
But the real challenge for nonprofits is figuring out how to, actually use it. How do you translate that predictive power into successful fundraising?
Well, having the tool isn't the solution. It's all in the application. And prediction requires one essential thing: connected data.
Connected data.
Right. Data is everywhere. It's in your CRM, your website logs, transaction reports. But if it's all sitting in separate silos, it's useless for intelligence.
So the question is this difference in technology actually making a difference in your organization?
Exactly. Is the difference making a difference? Because intelligence comes from connection. And today, we're diving into a feature that's specifically designed to force that connection and really transform the donor experience. It's called PayQuickly.
Okay, so let's start with where that connection usually breaks down. For most, that's the first touch point, the traditional donate button on a website.
Yes.
We really recommend organizations completely rethink that whole model. User clicks the button, leaves the page they were just on, and lands on this generic static donation form.
And everyone sees the exact same buttons, the same amounts, the same campaigns.
Exactly.
That entire workflow is what we call the 1960s mindset. It's a broadcast mentality.
The 1960s mindset. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's just the digital version of sending every single person on your mailing list the exact same paper form. The biggest failure there is the complete absence of tracking. You have no idea what motivated that person to give.
Right. What page were they on? What story moved them?
You lose all of it. When they hit that generic form, all the context just disappears.
And that context is where all the intelligence lives. I mean, without tracking that journey, what page, what article, what appeal, it's impossible to make informed decisions later. You're turning a personal moment into an anonymous transaction.
It's a massive lost opportunity. You want to capture the specific energy, the reason that led to the donation. If they were reading about a specific rescue effort, the donation has to carry that information.
Otherwise, how do you thank them properly? Or ask them about something similar later on?
You can't. So we have to bridge that gap, the gap between the inspiration and the transaction.
And that's where PayQuickly comes in. So what does it actually look like on a website?
PayQuickly is designed to be almost invisible until it's needed. It's usually just a simple little tab or an icon. It can sit on the sides or in the corners of a web page.
Kind of like a chatbot icon.
Very similar, yeah. When the donor clicks it, a quick, simple donation form opens right there on the page they're reading. They never leave the content that inspired them.
That sounds like a huge reduction in steps. And the implementation, we suggest adding just a few lines of code to your website, right?
A few lines of code. And with that, every single page can have a different, unique PayQuickly link.
So page 1 could point to campaign A, and page 2 could point to campaign B.
Precisely. You get dynamic control instead of one static destination. And to create one, you just log into Connect, go to any campaign, click on PayQuickly, and set it up.
And this is where the tracker code comes in, because that's the crucial part, isn't it? How does the transaction actually know where the gift came from?
The tracker code is the key.
Right.
When you create the PayQuickly link, you give it a simple custom code, something like, I don't know, Save the Turtles page 3 or monthly appeal banner.
Super simple.
Very simple. And that code makes sure all your transaction records and reports instantly reflect the specific source of that gift. That connection is immediate and clean.
Okay, let's talk about a real-world example, because this sounds really powerful.
We have clients who run these amazing child sponsorship programs. Now, traditionally, they'd have a page for each child, but the Sponsor Me button always led to one generic form.
The 1960s mindset again.
Right. Now, every single web page for a specific child, let's say a profile page for a girl named Mary, has its own unique PayQuickly button right there on the page.
So when I click to sponsor Mary,
The tracker code instantly tags the gift to Mary's page. The donation is secured and the entire donor journey is tracked. You get so much more information than just, collecting a $20 donation.
that context changes everything. Okay, let's unpack the form itself. When that little window opens, the form is incredibly short. First name, last name, email, that's it. Why so few fields?
This is all driven by fundraising psychology. The philosophy is less is different. Giving is an emotional action. It's an impulse.
Right. They were moved by Mary's story.
Exactly. And the moment you start asking for their address, phone number, or secondary contact, you engage the logical part of their brain. You slow them down. It's that concept of don't make me think.
And that friction can reduce the donation amount.
Or worse, cause them to abandon it completely.
Okay, but I have to ask the skeptical question. I know fundraisers are thinking this. If we only get a name and email, aren't we hurting our future efforts? Like for direct mail or identifying major donors?
That's a very valid question. And the answer is we prioritize securing the gift first. We can always follow up later. We have their email. We can ask for more information when they're not in that, emotionally charged state.
Get the donation now, gather more data later.
Exactly. If you ask for too much up front, you risk losing everything. PayQuickly gets the primary transaction done with the least friction possible.
And a big part of that low friction is the payment tech you're using,
Right.
specifically payment wallets. What are we leveraging there?
We leverage all the major alternate payment methods, the ones that require almost no input from the donor. So PayQuickly supports Apple Pay, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, PayPal,
Okay, all the big ones.
and even Stripe's Link for instant bank transfers. And of course, if they want, they can still use a standard credit card, Visa, MasterCard, and so on. But the wallets are the real game changer.
Why are they so important for keeping the form short and secure?
It all comes back to fraud prevention. Wallet systems require the donor to log in to their secure, authenticated account.
Like with Face ID on an iPhone for Apple Pay.
Right. Because the donor is authenticated by a major provider, the risk of fraud is virtually zero. And that means we don't need to collect all that extra information.
Like the billing address and CVV code and all that.
All that friction. Traditional credit card forms need that stuff for security checks. PayQuickly is specifically designed to avoid any custom or additional questions to maximize speed.
So the gift is fast, it's secure, and it's tracked. Now let's connect that back to the big picture. Where does this data go, and how does it elevate the whole operation?
So the next powerful step is that the PayQuickly data posts directly to Salesforce in real time. For organizations using it, of course.
Not a nightly sync, it's instant.
Instant. This means your normal autoresponders and receipts work just like they always have, but now they're immediately informed by that critical tracker code. They have the real-time context.
This is where it gets really interesting because that real-time context enables true hyper-personalization. Let's go back to the child sponsorship example.
Okay.
If a donor sponsors Mary, the autoresponder, which is managed through the Click and Pay suite in Salesforce, it doesn't just send a generic "thank you for your donation."
No, it sends an email with Mary's picture and personalized content about her story. It immediately affirms the donor's specific emotional choice.
So if they had sponsored Susie instead, they'd get Susie's picture.
And Susie's story. It completely transforms the relationship. It goes from being a transactional receipt to an instant, customized thank you that locks in that emotional connection.
That's powerful. Can we take it a step further? Can the form itself adapt even before the donor clicks?
Absolutely. This is where we suggest you enable IntelliBooster with these forms.
IntelliBooster. And that's pronounced Intelligent Boost, right?
Intelligent Boost, that's right. It's our smart adaptive feature. So depending on what we know about the donor, maybe just their zip code from their IP address, maybe their giving history if they're logged in, the PayQuickly form will adapt. It will change in real time.
So you're not just customizing the thank you, you're customizing the ask itself based on who the user is. If I'm a known major donor, maybe I see higher suggested giving amounts.
Precisely. IntelliBooster makes sure that every single donation opportunity is tailored to that donor's known profile. It maximizes the potential for a successful gift while keeping that low-friction experience. This is the definition of intelligence from connection.
So to summarize our deep dive here, PayQuickly is really the feature that ensures every page of your website can behave differently, can be consistent with how donors want to be treated and what inspired them to give in the first place.
It replaces that static one-size-fits-all 1960s donation form with something dynamic, traceable, and just frictionless.
So remember, intelligence comes from connection. Now that you know it's possible for your data to be this connected, what's the first area of your website where you'll implement a hyper-personalized PayQuickly to make a real difference?
For more information about this and all Click and Pledge products, make sure to visit clickandpledge.com. You can request a one-on-one training or a demo.
And that's whether you're a current client or just curious about our platform. Just ask us, and we will gladly get together with you to chat.
And we really want to be clear about this. This feature is absolutely free for all Click and Pledge accounts. It's part of the Click and Pledge fundraising command center.
Talk to you all soon in our next edition of Beep, where we take deep takes into all things Click and Pledge.